Boomers were handed the most powerful economy in the world and the most powerful military in the world by the generation that went through the Great Depression and fought the world wars, and all they had to do was not screw it up for the generations that came after them. It was once widely assumed that each new generation would outperform the previous one in terms of wealth and prosperity. The notion that children would have more opportunities, more financial security, and a higher standard of living than their parents seemed unchangeable. However, in recent years, this fundamental assumption has begun to crumble, revealing a startling reality. Young generations are now poorer than their parents, with the implications reverberating throughout our economies. This unprecedented turn of events has sparked widespread concern across borders, affecting societies worldwide. We can no longer count on the promise of upward mobility for the next generation. Instead, a new paradox has emerged, one that threatens the very foundations of our economies and the prospects of future prosperity. The situation is orders of magnitude more severe now. The wealth gap between generations is widening in America, and for the first time since the Industrial Revolution, successive generations are not becoming wealthier than their parents. Younger generations are finding it increasingly difficult to find stable employment, afford comfortable housing, start a family, and save for retirement. The average American aged 64 to 75 is 94% wealthier than the average 35-year-old. Today's 40-year-olds own half the wealth of previous generations at the same age. At the same age, baby boomers own 33% more real estate than Generation X baby boomers have 10 times the wealth of millennials. We put enormous effort into producing data-driven content to show you what's fake and what's real. Subscribe and comment to the final economy. These are the few reasons why young generations are now poorer than their parents and how it's impacting our economies. High cost of living and inflation. In many parts of the world, the cost of living, including housing, healthcare, and basic necessities, has skyrocketed, making it difficult for young people to achieve financial security and build wealth. Young people spend more than double what their older counterparts did a few years back. Low financial resilience is a real issue for today's young generations, with millennials and Gen Z citing cost of living as their top concern. High rents and a high cost of living are driving some young professionals away from New York City. According to StreetEasy data, average rent prices increased by 13% in August compared to 2021. Wages in the city are also struggling to keep up with inflation. In the United Kingdom, the real value of workers' pay has been falling at the fastest rate in 20 years, as wage increases have been outpaced by inflation, which has reached a staggering 9.9%. The average household's disposable income was reported to have dropped by 16.5% in August. As a result, 2 out of every 5 people say they are limiting their eating out, traveling, and socializing outside the home. The cost of living crisis is affecting not only young people's ability to build wealth, but also their social lives and mental health. Many young people are limiting their out-of-home eating, traveling, and socializing, which can lead to loneliness and mental health issues. Houses have evolved into investments, as well as places to live. This is a relatively new phenomenon, as previously, houses were essentially a commodity, with the majority of the cost being incurred in the construction of the structure itself. Today, however, houses are viewed as investments, and people believe that housing is a better investment than the stock market. Several factors contributed to this shift in perception, including the push towards suburbs with mandated single-family building requirements, which meant that houses got bigger and good locations became more desirable because only so many family homes could be built there. Financialization and wealth concentration. Financialization refers to the expansion of a country's financial sector in relation to its overall economy. Over the last few decades, the economy has shifted significantly towards financialization, in which financial markets play a larger role in driving economic growth. This shift has resulted in the concentration of wealth in the hands of a few, exacerbating income inequality. Financialization has resulted in a massive increase in the number and variety of financial instruments sold, contributing to the growth of the financial sector, and the concentration of wealth in the hands of a few. Financialization has resulted in the decline of manufacturing in the United States, as the financial industry, with its emphasis on short-term profits, has played a significant role in this decline. Financialization is the process by which financial markets, financial institutions, and financial elites gain greater influence over economic policy and decision-making. resulting in wealth accumulation in the control of certain individuals. The shift in financial intermediation from banks to financial markets, as well as the introduction of financial market logic into areas and domains that were previously outside the financial sphere, has resulted in an increasing amount of fortune in the grasp of some people. To close the wealth gap between generations, young people can invest in stocks, real estate, and retirement accounts, start a business, and pursue education and training that leads to higher-paying jobs. Evolving education and skill requirements. The modern workforce's demands are constantly changing, with an increasing emphasis on specialized skills and higher education. Literacy, numeracy, critical thinking, problem-solving, and adaptability will be required of workers. However, rising education costs, combined with a lack of access to quality education and training, have created barriers for many young people. Many countries' education systems have failed to adequately prepare children for the digital age. Higher education must evolve in order to remain relevant in a future where individuals are hired based on their skills rather than their degrees. Employers should become more involved in discussions about what programs and skills should be taught. Many countries' education systems, both high and low income, have failed to adequately prepare children for the digital age. There are several approaches to introducing change into educational systems. Higher education must evolve in order to remain relevant in a future where individuals are hired based on their skills rather than their degrees. Employers should become more involved in discussions about what programs and skills should be taught. Education must evolve and shift to a learner-centered paradigm to ensure that all individuals have access to quality education. This means that rather than a one-size-fits-all approach, education should be tailored to the individual learner and their needs. Economic recessions and financial crises can have a significant impact on the economic prospects, mental health outcomes, and financial literacy of young people. Young people entering the labor force during an economic downturn face higher unemployment rates, less job security, and fewer opportunities for advancement. Economic downturns and financial crisis can also lead to lower savings rates and poor financial decision-making among young people. Impacts on consumption and saving patterns. The generational wealth gap has serious implications for consumption and saving habits, which can have far-reaching macroeconomic consequences, such as decreased demand and a slowdown in growth. The cost of living crisis is a real concern for today's young generations, as cost of living ranks first on the list of millennial and Gen Z concerns. Young people spend more than double what their older counterparts do, which can lead to lower consumer spending and lower savings rates. The Great Recession, which began in 2007, harmed the financial well-being of millions of American families, disrupting their ability to fully meet current and ongoing financial obligations. During and after the economic downturn, families experience significant changes or disruptions in their income, wealth, and debt, which can lead to lower savings rates. In the United Kingdom, the real value of workers' pay has been falling at the fastest rate in 20 years, as wage increases have been outpaced by inflation, which has reached a staggering 9.9%. As a result, 2 out of every 5 people say they are limiting their eating out, traveling, and socializing outside the home, which can lead to lower consumer spending. The cost of living crisis is destroying young people's social lives, as many are forced to return home, raising concerns about loneliness and mental health. Financial constraints can limit young people's socializing options and lead to lower consumer spending. Young people have low financial literacy, which can lead to poor financial decisions and lower savings rates. Financial literacy has been shown to influence both saving and investing behavior, as well as debt management and borrowing habits. According to empirical evidence, financially aware people are more likely to accumulate wealth. The generational wealth gap can have a significant impact on consumption and saving patterns, which can have broader macroeconomic implications, such as decreased demand and economic stagnation. The cost of living crisis, financial constraints, and low financial literacy are all to blame for young people's reduced consumer spending and savings rates. Rising income inequality. The underlying causes of income inequality and its implications for advancement in society are complex and multifaceted. Income inequality compares one household's position to another household at the same point in time, whereas income mobility compares one household's position to itself at different points in time. According to studies, greater income differences between the bottom and middle of the income distribution cause low-income boys to drop out of high school more frequently than their counterparts in less unequal areas, implying that there is an important link between income inequality and lower rates of upward mobility. Despite the rise in income inequality, social mobility does not appear to be declining. The rise in income inequality explains 2/3 of the decline in absolute mobility in the United States, but it's a different story in other countries, particularly Canada. Examining the root causes of income inequality and its consequences for social mobility is therefore critical in order to expose the underlying factors exacerbating the generational wealth gap and promoting social cohesion. The ripple effect on social and political stability. The wealth gap between generations can have repercussions on social and political stability. Economic disparities can sow the seeds of social unrest by undermining trust in institutions and contributing to political polarization. In the United States, both income inequality and political polarization have risen dramatically in recent decades. A small but growing body of literature suggests that these two phenomena are related and mutually reinforcing. Income inequality causes political polarization, and polarization reduces politicians' ability to address rising inequality. Social harmony, which once supported political consensus, has deteriorated dramatically across Western democracies. In response to this new segregation, identity politics has shifted to the right. High levels of immigration have further strained traditional notions of national identity, allowing populist politicians to blame elites for the situation. According to one study, political division destroys social unity and trust. Political parties and their actions have a significant impact on a society's level of social trust and cooperation. That is, political parties can make societies more or less harmonious based on the conflict that they encourage and bring about. As a result, political polarization has an impact on more than just political conflict and the electoral arena. Differences in income between the bottom and middle of the income distribution cause low-income boys to drop out of high school at a higher rate than their counterparts in less unequal areas, implying that there is an important link between income inequality and lower rates of upward mobility. Given its role in promoting social cohesion and facilitating collective action, trust in fellow citizens is the backbone of a well-functioning democracy. The generational wealth gap has the potential to undermine social and political stability by eroding trust in institutions and contributing to political polarization. Economic recession and financial crisis. In recent decades, the global economy has been afflicted by recurring recessions and financial crises, such as the 2008 global financial crisis. These events have had long-term consequences for young people's economic prospects. Young people entering the labor force during an economic downturn face higher unemployment rates, less job security, and fewer opportunities for advancement. For example, the Great Recession of 2007 to 2009 had a significant impact on young people's employment prospects, with youth unemployment rates reaching all-time highs in many countries. Economic recessions and financial crises can have a negative impact on mental health outcomes, such as depression, anxiety, and PTSD. The Great Recession, which began in 2007, harmed the financial well-being of millions of American families, disrupting their ability to fully meet current and ongoing financial obligations. During and after the economic downturn, families experienced significant changes or disruptions in their income, wealth, and debt, which can lead to lower savings rates. Young people have low financial literacy, which can lead to poor financial decisions and lower savings rates. Financial literacy has been shown to influence both saving and investing behavior, as well as debt management and borrowing habits. According to empirical evidence, financially savvy individuals are more likely to accumulate wealth. Finally, economic recessions and financial crises can have a significant impact on the economic prospects, mental health outcomes, and financial literacy of young people. Young people entering the labor force during an economic downturn face higher unemployment rates, less job security, and fewer opportunities for advancement. Economic downturns and financial crises can also lead to lower savings rates and poor financial decision-making among young people. Pension and Social Security shortfalls. Many developed countries are facing significant shortfalls in their pension and Social Security systems as their populations age and life expectancies rise. The younger workforce bears the brunt of the burden of supporting an aging population, leaving them with fewer resources to invest in their own financial future. Countries in advanced stages of transition face face a shrinking labor force, which means fewer people to contribute to pension systems while still ensuring adequate support for retirees. Many countries have had serious problems managing their social security systems, which were caused by flaws in system design, funding difficulties, and demographic changes. Social security systems have emerged as components of formal social security measures in developed countries, and developing countries may be able to learn from the experience of developed countries in developing social security systems. The Social Security program in the United States is expected to face a shortfall in the future, but changes in taxes or benefits that offset the effects of a lower birth rate may restore the program's solvency on a sustainable basis for the foreseeable future. Despite baby boomer retirement and the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression, Social Security is on a solid financial footing for the foreseeable future. Automation and technological disruption. Rapid technological advancement, particularly in automation and artificial intelligence, has reshaped industries and the nature of work. While automation has certainly increased efficiency and productivity, it has also resulted in job displacement and wage stagnation for many young workers. As automation replaces traditional jobs, young generations face a precarious job market with few opportunities for stable, well-paying work. The impact of automation on the labor market is a source of concern, with some experts arguing that it will create new jobs and increase productivity, while others are concerned that it will displace workers and worsen income inequality. According to the World Economic Forum, by 2025, technology will have created at least 12 million more jobs than it has destroyed, indicating that, in the long run, automation will be a net positive for society. Laborers displaced from jobs due to automation, on the other hand, are frequently forced to compete with other workers for whatever jobs are left, resulting in wage stagnation, according to Goldman Sachs economists. The latest wave of artificial intelligence could automate up to 300 million full-time jobs worldwide. Further use of such AI will almost certainly result in job losses, but they noted that historically, the technological innovation that initially displaces workers has also resulted in long-term employment growth. Over time, automation frequently creates as many jobs as it destroys. Workers who can use machines are more productive than those who cannot, which lowers the costs and prices of goods and services while making consumers feel richer. As a result, consumers spend more money, resulting in the creation of new jobs. However, some workers, particularly women, suffer. Technology also has a greater positive impact on productivity by making tasks easier to complete or by creating new jobs and tasks for workers. Robots have a greater displacement effect, which leads to wage stagnation and job displacement. Finally, the harsh reality that younger generations are poorer than their parents is a complex problem with far-reaching implications for our economies and societies as a whole. A number of factors that contribute to this unsettling trend, including the erosion of economic mobility, rising income inequality, debt burden, effects on consumption and saving patterns, automation and technological disruption, evolving education requirements, financialization and wealth concentration, high cost of living, economic recessions and financial crisis, pension and social security shortfalls, and other factors. The combination of these factors has created a perfect storm in which the promise of upward mobility and financial security enjoyed by previous generations has become increasingly elusive for the young. As a result of this generational wealth gap, the economy suffers from reduced consumption, limited saving capacity, and social instability. Addressing these issues will necessitate a collaborative effort from policymakers, businesses, and society as a whole. Policy interventions promoting equitable access to quality education, affordable housing, and healthcare, as well as measures addressing income inequality and ensuring fair wages, are critical. Furthermore, investing in long-term job creation, encouraging innovation and entrepreneurship, and reevaluating pension and social security systems are critical steps toward closing the gap. We may create a path to a more equitable and prosperous future through collective action informed by an understanding of the complex interplay of factors. We can restore the promise of upward mobility, stimulate economic growth, and foster social cohesion by removing the systemic barriers that prevent young people from reaching their full potential. It is time to rethink our approach to generational wealth and commit to creating a society in which every generation, regardless of birth year, has the opportunity to thrive.